It demolecularizes matter. I don't think I can say that without it being exaggerated or wrong.
Welcome to Stargazing, a Stargate gazing podcast. I'm your host, Mary.
And I'm your other host, Kathy.
And each week we review an episode of Stargate alternating between SG1 and Atlantis. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
It is going all right. How are you doing?
Okay.
Cool. How's things since I saw you yesterday?
Not much new has happened since yesterday.
Shocking.
Yesterday being 2 days after Christmas.
Yeah.
If anyone's wondering when we recorded this. Holiday messed up our recording schedule.
Yes.
We should have recorded this almost a week ago, but here we are.
Things happen.
Holidays get in the way of things.
Yeah.
So many family things to deal with.
Indeed. And so many I'm comfy under a blanket and don't want to do things happening too sometimes.
Fair.
Yeah.
I haven't had time for that, sadly, because there have been too many gatherings and things that needed to be done.
I guess one of the benefits of my family now either living away and or are not living is that
fair.
It is less likely I will have too many family things, which is actually good because sometimes it's overwhelming, obviously.
Yes.
Yeah.
I've been feeling overwhelmed lately for
Yeah.
that reason. Too many different things in too many different places. Although we did have plans for today that we are canceling because it's supposed to be sleeting or whatever later this evening.
Yeah, weather, woo!
And our cars are terrible in bad weather because mine's an electric little hatchback thingy and Jeff drives a Prius.
Yeah.
Prius hybrid. So they're both bad in snow.
Indeed.
Or slippery weather of any type. And the place we needed to go is like a half an hour away and also in a colder part of the state than where we live because it's up higher. But yeah, we're not going to go because we don't really want to die on the way there or home.
No,
so.
That would be bad.
It would be bad.
Also, you deserve relaxy time.
Indeed. I like relaxy time. We've had something we needed to do every day for the last week and a half, I think, at this point.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Now, I guess it's really only been a week, but still, that's a lot.
It is. It makes it feel like a week and a half.
Indeed, it does. It has felt that way.
My car had a moment yesterday, too. I was coming home and went to turn in my driveway, and of course the snowplow had come through again after I left and had cleared it, so there was a barrier between the road and my driveway, and my car was like, what do I do? And I'm like, go forward more, car, and then we will be fine. And then finally it caught the actual ground and traction happened, and that was good.
Yeah, the driving nannies that they put in all of these computers actually make them worse in bad weather in a lot of ways, because I used to be pretty good at just powering through a snowbank or whatever,
right.
But now because the computer on the car keeps trying to switch the traction around from one wheel to another wheel to another wheel, it's like you can't really ever get a good grip anywhere because just when the tire starts to grip somewhere, that's actually when it starts to change to another tire that's not gripping, and it only lets you have so much power to the wheels when you really just need to gun it, and it won't let you, and it's annoying.
Should have kept my 20-year-old car.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
that would have exploded at some point, probably.
It definitely would have. Especially seeing as your gas line was still only being held in place by an alligator clip.
Yeah.
That's probably not great for winter or any time for that matter.
True. Very true. Yeah. I don't know how to segue from that.
Yeah. You know what has nothing to do with cars or bad weather because we never leave the base?
What would that be?
This episode, actually, I guess Sam does eventually leave the base and is in a car at some point, but most of it is not there.
You know, being ferried to and from fancy places.
Indeed.
With fancy people.
With a fancy dress on.
Yes.
What episode is this that we were talking about? She is quite stunning.
Yeah. This was Stargate SG1, Season 10, Episode 13, The Road Not Taken.
Once again, an episode title that doesn't really make a ton of sense.
I was reading somebody's brief review of it, and they were paralleling it with The Covenant, which was the episode where that guy was trying to go public with the Stargate program with his evidence he had, and they, they disappeared him ultimately.
Right. Oh, so this is supposed to be what happened if he had?
Yeah, I don't know if it's specifically him, but just that similar premise, like that's a world where they were able to keep the Stargate program a secret after the attack by Anubis, and this one is not. So I'm just guessing it's, yeah.
Yeah, it just seemed weird to me because it was a completely different timeline. There was no real obvious part of this storyline where, oh, they chose this thing in our universe, but they chose a different thing in this universe. So now we need see what would have happened. Like, this was just a different story.
Yeah. They didn't elaborate on the specifics of, obviously, how the program became public, so we can't know for sure if it's an exact road not taken situation, I guess.
Anyway, whatever.
Anyway.
Let's get started.
And we start in the base. As you said, we are in the base a lot. And we're in a lab.
Secret lab.
Where Sam is working on the Merlin device that is not the Ori Doomsday weapon, but the other one where they can shift things and people into parallel worlds.
Good Merlin ping to you.
Yeah, the same one as last time.
Yes. Mitchell comes in and smacks right into a force field that Sam has up around the room. And she's like, didn't you see the sign? And no, he didn't, because she never put it up. Oops.
She still had it on her desk.
Oopsie. Mitchell asks what she's doing, why she has a force field up. And she's working on making the device work over larger areas, and she wanted to contain the situation while in the lab. She asks him if there's news about Daniel, but no, they still haven't heard anything about Daniel since he's been grabbed by Adria. And Mitchell's there because he wants to see if she wants to grab some lunch with them. And she's like, I got one more test to do, and you can totally watch me if you want to go up into the observation room. So he does that. She restarts the force field and disappears from Mitchell's sight. But she doesn't come back.
Oops.
Oopsie. But then we are in the lab again. This time, there's no Mitchell watching. And the room looks like it's been through some stuff. There's black marks all over, indicating there had been some kind of explosion in the room. And Sam is lying on the floor. She wakes up and looks around. Dr. Lee comes in. Where's he coming from? Who knows? And he asks Major if she's okay. And she's like, Major? Because that sounds wrong. And then Lorne from Atlantis comes in.
He started on this series, didn't he?
Oh, you're right. I think he did.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. He's glad Sam's okay and asks where Dr. Bennett is. And Sam doesn't know who that is, and also she asks Lauren why he's there and not on Atlantis, and Lauren does not seem to know what she's talking about. He's like, no, are you okay? I work here at Stargate Command. And also he throws in sort of randomly, which seemed weird. He's like, as the leader of SG1. And that...
Dun, dun, dun.
Where is Sam? What's going on?
What happened?
And then we have credits.
We do have credits. And then we're in the control room, and once again, we get more confirmation that things aren't right because Hammond is there, which I was delighted about.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Gould.
He still leads the SGC, so that is fantastic. Lauren comes in to tell him that they have a problem. He's not sure how to explain it, but there's been an accident, and there's a problem with Sam. They continue their conversation out in the hallway as they head to wherever Sam is. Lauren is explaining that she's not the Major Carter that they know. She's from a parallel universe, and that it's got probably something to do with the experiments that Sam and their Sam were working on. At some point, he has told Hammond that there had been an explosion, so Hammond wants to know if she was injured. And no, Sam has not been injured, but he says she seems different. So I guess Hammond is skeptical that she's from a different universe just yet. Lauren says one of the ways that she is different is that she claims she's a lieutenant colonel, and also she's got some weird device that they've never seen before that showed up in the lab with her. He just has no idea where it came from. Dr. Lee doesn't either, for that matter. Nobody knows what that thing is. Hammond asks where their Major Carter is, and Lauren does not know. Grim spoiler alert, she is the black smudges on the wall that were all over the room.
Yeah.
Which I had been wondering for the first part of this episode if the explosion was the result of her arriving or if the explosion had happened before she got there. And it seems that it happened before she got there.
Yeah. That's a bad explosion if there's no remnants of a person at all.
Vaporized remains of two people and whatever
Yeah.
equipment they were using on the walls. Yes.
Yeesh.
Quite.
I'm fuzzy on the whole good-bad thing. What do you mean bad?
Try to imagine all life as you know it stopping instantaneously and every molecule in your body exploding at the speed of light.
Total protonic reversal. All right, that's bad.
Lauren goes to ask this Sam some questions. They've got her in an interrogation room, so no little guest quarters for her at the moment. He asks her why she's there, and she's like, I did not mean to do this. He also asks what the machine was that came with her, and she says it takes matter and transports it to another dimension. And she says it is different than traveling to parallel worlds as she's done, and starts talking about how there are a fixed number of alternate dimensions according to M theory, and that in the multiverse theory there's an infinite number of parallel realities. Lauren does not understand any of this and claims she's not giving him a straight answer. And she says, well, how did I get here? Why was I brought here of all places? What was going on in the lab? Lauren says he can't tell her. And she's like, all right, cool. Well, maybe I could talk to some of my old friends. Daniel, is he around? But in this world, Daniel was also taken by the Ori. How about Cameron Mitchell? How about him? Lauren's like, that pilot that is no longer in the military? I don't know. Then she asks for Teal'c and Vala. Teal'c has been with the Jaffa for several years, and Vala, unsurprisingly, is in jail. Strangely, she neither asks anything about Jack O'Neill or General Landry, who was in charge of her Stargate command. It was kind of weird.
Both weird choices, yes. Even Hammond, you would think that she might have asked about him. Not that she would have known he was here. I don't think she's actually seen him yet. So
no, but she's seen alternate Hampdens.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, she should have asked where he was, because she wouldn't know where he was.
Yeah.
Since she hasn't seen him yet. But no, she didn't choose to ask about him either.
Yeah. Very, very strange choices, Sam, but okay. Yeah. Since none of these people that she did ask for are around to help her, she asks if she could at least see what was going on in the lab, because that'll give a clue to how she got there. Lauren seems hesitant to do that, again, because it's classified, I'm sure, and he doesn't know this woman. But she argues, you want your Carter back and I want to go home, so maybe we do a thing? Want to show me the video now? Then we switch perspectives and it's Hammond and Lee watching footage of this interview. She might not have convinced Lauren in the moment, but her pleading convinces Hammond that they should show her what's going on.
Request denied.
Dr. Lee seems unconvinced this is a good idea, but he's going to do it because he's Dr. Lee.
Yeah, well, he has to.
And not General Hammond. Exactly.
So they do go ahead and show Sam the footage. We see alternate Sam and whoever Dr. Bennett was in that lab doing some work on some equipment. They've got a power spike. Sam mentions that the capacitors are overloading and says they need to shut it down. Sam is presumably trying to shut it down on her laptop when there's a big flash of light and there's all kinds of sparks. We see present day our Sam wincing as she's watching this footage. Dr. Bennett says that the override's not responding. Sam's not having any luck on her end. She tells Dr. Bennett to get out of there, but then there's just static on the screen. And that is as much as they have. So we see Dr. Lee sitting across from Sam. That's all they've got of the video. He says that sensors indicated that there was a huge explosion in the room, but when they opened the door, instead of finding the charred remains that they expected, they found Sam. She asks what the capacitors were for that they had talked about in the video, and Dr. Lee tells her that they were working on extracting energy from parallel universes. Sam asks Lauren if he knew about this, and he says, well, knowing about it and understanding it are two completely different things. So yes, Lauren at least had some idea what they were working on, even though he didn't understand the science behind it. And Lee gives us some explanation of basically the same stuff that we learned in Atlantis about it. It's dangerous, and there are potential consequences on the target universe. So they were actually trying to take energy from multiple universes a little bit at a time from each, instead of doing what they had done on Atlantis and taking a bunch from one, hopefully empty universe, which we found out was not devoid of people as they had hoped. But in any case, their goal was to minimize the fallout of any one universe if they were just pulling a little bit from each individual universe. That clearly didn't work out very well, though. And Lauren points out that it doesn't exactly explain how Sam got there either, because the device was never designed to bring any actual matter through the bridge that they were creating. It was just supposed to be a little bit of energy. But Sam says that she was conducting her own experiment at the exact same time, and she was shifted out of phase, so maybe that's how she was somehow pulled in here in her full body form.
Oh, how convenient.
Sure, we'll go with that. That's what their argument is going to be, is that something about her being out of phase made it possible to pull her matter and the device that she was using into this universe instead of just a little bit of energy. And because they had that force field around them that Sam had erected, she didn't die when she got pulled over the way that this Sam and Dr. Bennett from this universe got blown up in this process. So, neat.
Yeah.
Lauren asks, hopefully, maybe it sent our Carter to your universe? But no, Sam says it doesn't work that way. So that's when we find out for sure that all the black smudges all over the wall were vaporized alternate Sam and Dr. Bennett.
Yeah. Then we're with Hammond, who's walking along a hallway in the SGC, which is oddly adorned with paintings of people, which is unusual for the SGC.
Yes.
He comes upon a dude and says he needs to see the president. And it cannot wait. So, president is at the SGC for reasons.
Yes.
Yes. Then we're back with Sam. Hammond, at some point later, because Hammond is there again, unless they've decided to make Sam the president right now. Which would be
I bet they did.
Quite a change.
Yes.
Hammond and Lauren come in to see Sam. She is like, yeah, General Hammond, which is how I am when I see him too. And she's like, you're in command? And he says, yes. And she's like, it's strange. In my world, you're retired. And he's like, I'm so jealous.
If only.
I know. He's like, this situation sucks, huh? And it's real bad timing. And Sam's like, what do you mean? And Lauren explains that the Ori attacked Earth a couple weeks back. Sam is surprised they survived. And Hammond said it was because it was one ship and they had the chair in Antarctica and some squids to fight them off. Unfortunately, their ZPM is now about out of juice. That is why other Sam, Major Sam, yeah. Their Major Sam was doing the energy experiments to try to power the chair using energy from alternate realities. And Sam's like, oh yeah, and you've never been to Atlantis, so you had no opportunities for other ZPMs, of course. And Lauren's like, what's Atlantis?
Ancient Atlanta was more than just a Delta hub.
And Sam's like, it's a city in the Pegasus galaxy. The ancients lived there. And we have a whole contingent of people there. It's a whole cooperative international thing. It's great. She doesn't say that, but
that's the implication.
Yeah. And Hammond's like, well, this world doesn't do international cooperation, so that would never happen. He explains then that when Anubis attacked 3 years ago, they had no choice but to reveal the Stargate program to the world. So something happened during that attack that could not be hidden. It was not exactly hidden even in Prime Stargate universe, but they were able to explain it by weather or something.
Right, yeah, they did something hand-wavy to dismiss it, and I guess people were dumb enough to believe it.
Yeah, apparently these people are smarter than Prime Stargate Earth people.
Apparently.
They figured it out, and or it was explained to them. And it did not go well. Lauren says there was rioting, and the president declared martial law. And diplomatically, it was even worse. The other world governments, I guess unlike this one, where some of them actually knew about the Stargate program well before Anubis' attack, were not told anything. And were unsurprisingly alarmed at the kind of technology the US government had.
Yes.
Lauren says they barely got the chair out of Antarctica before the Russians moved in, and they have it now at Area 51, Hammond adds. But it doesn't matter because it doesn't have any power. But maybe because you're here and you're another Sam, you could help us with that? Sam is like, oh, you want me to do your Carter's work? And Hammond's like, well, you were doing similar experiments I hear in your own universe, so what's the problem? Sam's like, well, we've got our own problems. I should probably get back home. I need to do some work to do that. Hammond's like, okay, well, how long is that going to take you? She's like, I have no idea. He's like, weeks? Months?
525,600 minutes.
She says, maybe, so I gotta get started. And Hammond's like, too bad you don't have weeks or months regardless, because the Ori are coming to attack us again in 5 days.
Great.
Yeah, wonderful.
Fantastic timing.
Yes, so Sam's gotta help them if she doesn't want to die before she can get home.
Sometime later, Hammond and Lauren are in an observation room above that same lab that Sam had appeared in. They've cleaned off the gross smudges at this point, I think. They had at some point, which I was like, okay, good. They finally cleared off the dead bits from the wall.
Yeah.
Sam is working in the lab while Hammond and Dr. Lee are watching her. Hammond wants to know exactly what's going on, but Dr. Lee doesn't really even exactly understand the science that Sam is working on down there. And apparently she hasn't detailed what it is that she wants to show them either. So she's got her interdimensional device hooked up with the Naquita generator powering it. Hammond calls down to her and says, so you've agreed to help us? And she says, yep. But I think that I shouldn't be pursuing your Carter's research. I'm going to show you what I've been working on. Because it would be way faster than trying to catch up with whatever it was that she was doing that had taken however long it had for her to figure it out. And so she pushes a button and she disappears because she has turned on the device and she's now out of phase. Lauren and Hammond both look quite alarmed. Dr. Lee looks confused too. And then all of a sudden, Sam appears out of nowhere again.
Surprise, motherfucker.
Hammond asks her what the hell just happened. And so, of course, she explains to them about the whole being out of phase thing. You're invisible. You're not touchable. You're definitely 100% Ori proof. So that's great. Lauren has no idea how this is going to help them to defend themselves against the Ori, but Sam assures them that the field size can actually be manipulated to way past this lab and to encompass the entire planet. So that's great. What could go wrong with that plan?
Nothing.
Nope.
No notes. And then it's later again. Sam's working. Lauren comes in to see her to ask how it's going. She says, okay, she's going to run her first simulation soon. Lauren's not there to really talk about that. He wants to talk about how she's not the Sam that he's used to. He's like, it's weird seeing you here. Sam says it's the same but different. It's weird being here. Then Sam asks if she can ask him something, and he's like, you just did, LOL. He says, sure you can. So she pulls out a photo of the two of them looking very happy, and in it she's wearing a wedding ring. So she's like, are we? And he's like, no. You were married, but it was to some .com millionaire smartass named McKay. And Sam is like, Rodney McKay? He's like, yeah. You too? You got one? Is he a jerk too in your universe? And Sam says, diplomatically, some people think so. And Lauren says that their Sam said there was a side of him that no one else saw. And I'm disappointed in any reality that Sam would put up with Rodney's bullshit.
Indeed.
But apparently not forever.
No, apparently not. Sometime later, Sam catches up with Hammond. I almost called him Hamden. Sam catches up with Hammond at the elevator. She's coming to see him because their power calculations are coming up short. The ZPM that they would need in order to power this device enough to surround the entire planet is too depleted, presumably from their battle with the Ori. And so they still have a power problem, all boiling down to that partially drained ZPM. But Hammond has an idea in mind, so she takes the elevator with him and they get to some hallway. There's a bunch of men in suits, and it is the same hallway that we saw before with all the paintings and everything. Sam wants to know who all these people are. Hammond tells her it's the Secret Service. She is confused as to why Hammond would have Secret Service outside of his office, but it's not Hammond's office anymore. Hasn't been his office for 3 years. It is now the president's office. So they walk into what would typically be the briefing room in our regular SGC, and there's a whole bunch of cabinet members there, and also Landry. Surprise, Landry is the president in this universe. Sam is actually quite surprised about that. So they are introduced to each other. And Landry asks her exactly how much of a power shortage she has, because I guess Hammond had warned him in advance about this. She needs 700 gigawatts, which is worse than 1.21 gigawatts.
Great Scott!
So it's roughly 80% of the power generating capacity of the continental United States. So it's doable. They are going to basically make everybody shut down their power. And so between that and the ZPM, that's going to be doable. Turns out they had actually been building some weird kind of channel from the U.S. power grid directly to the ancient chair for a while now, once they realized that the ZPM was drained. So that's convenient.
Yeah.
And so they're going to send Sam and all her stuff, devices, everything, to Area 51, where the chair is.
Landry then delivers an address to the American people about why they're not going to have power for a while.
We will not go quietly into the night.
But he does it in, flowery politician language. The speech continues in a lab where we see Sam has gone to Area 51. They're doing some work while listening to the speech. Then we flip again to a different place, which is the SGC again. Landry is still speaking in the background, while Lauren and Hammond are watching the skies, I guess, because they hear from the Daedalus that 5 Ori ships have breached whatever their safe zone is.
Great.
So great. This is a long-ass speech that we don't actually hear, which is nice. Then we circle back to Landry's office where he finishes his speech. Good times.
Indeed.
Nobody looks really happy here because terrible things are coming.
Then we're back in Area 51 with Dr. Lee and Sam. They are ready to give this thing a go, so they plug it in. Dr. Lee pushes a button on the laptop, and there's a screen that shows that the power input is increasing. So, good. That's looking promising. All of the lights go out in the United States, we see from an aerial shot of the country. So, I guess that's also working. Back in the SGC, we get a brief scene with Lauren and Hammond where SATCON is reporting that they have made contact with multiple targets. Hammond radios to Sam that she is out of time. Sam says they're almost there, their capacitors are loading, and the enemy ships, Lauren says, are splitting up, so they're taking place on either side of Area 51. I guess they're attacking it because that's where the chair was last time? Or was it still in Antarctica the last time?
I think it was in Antarctica, but maybe they can sense it because they are, the...
I guess it would have more power than anywhere else, seeing as everything else is in a blackout, So Hammond tells her that it's now or never. They just basically bide their time for a little while longer. There's a lot more back and forth that I'm just going to skip over of counting up to power levels and Hammond saying that they're out of time and Sam saying that they need more time. But ultimately, the Ori fire and Sam gets the machine turned on just in time. We get a weird scene of a power beam passing directly through Sam and Dr. Lee. And Dr. Lee's like, what the hell was that? But because they were out of phase, it, of course, does no damage whatsoever. And Sam tells him that was the Ori weapons fire passing right through us. It did nothing. The Ori were assuming, presumably, that they were just shielded and were invisible, but not out of phase. So I guess that they assume that Earth was blown up, even though they can't see it, and left?
It doesn't make sense because they didn't fire on them till it disappeared. If I were the Ori, I would be parked there forever.
Yeah.
To be like, they didn't just disappear. They're coming back.
Right. But no, apparently they just fired and left and assumed that the cloaking had also hidden the destroyed planet or whatever.
Maybe they're like, let's go kill some more people. We'll circle back over here a little later. Maybe they'll have turned it off or something. I don't know. Yeah. It's weird.
It was quite weird. So, yeah, that's that problem. Problem solved. We don't hear about the Ori again for the rest of this episode.
Yep.
Sometime later, apparently Sam has made her way back to the SGC. She's walking with President Landry, who says that the world owes her a debt of gratitude. And she's glad that she could help, and maybe she can start working on a way to get back to her own universe now. That would be great. Sam has actually already been working on that, but not having much luck. But Landry says he's sure that she'll figure it out. And in the meantime, there's a few people that he'd like her to meet, and he opens the door to the gate room, and there is just a ton of press there. Just so many reporters and so many cameras, and Sam clearly feels out of place with this, but she's going to go answer a bunch of questions about what she just did.
Who doesn't love surprise press conferences?
Right?
They're so fun, I'm sure.
Indeed.
And then we're finally out of bases and out on the streets. Sam's in a limo, though, so she's still not outside. Again, I mentioned at the beginning, she is stunning. She's wearing a beautiful dress.
You are just so boom.
Great look. She's watching the press conference on TV where Landry introduces Major Carter to the world. And then we see on screen the same reporter lady who has been in SG1 before. What was her name?
I don't remember.
Anyway, she reports that this was yesterday. So I'm just trying to get a little sense of time.
Yeah.
Sam gets a phone call then, and she's like, "Tell me you have good news, Bill," who is Dr. Lee. Dr. Lee responds that no, preliminary simulations were bad.
Donovan is the name of the
reporter.
reporter.
Yes, okay. Dr. Lee says they can't replicate the same conditions that brought her here, which would have to involve another Sam sacrificing herself. Maybe? They can't replicate that.
That would be bad.
Yeah. They could only replicate it if they can control the environment on both sides of the bridge, which Sam's like, well, that doesn't sound promising, but we'll talk about it tomorrow. Then she gets out of the limo. It had stopped. It wasn't still driving. She didn't just jump out of it. It's probably not necessary to mention that, but I wouldn't want you to think she is just flipping out of limos and in her fancy dress. She gets out of a limo, and it's the same sort of situation. She is surrounded by people and cameras and people asking questions. There's a red carpet she's sent down and heads on into a party.
And there's all kinds of senators and important people there, and someone thanks her on behalf of the great state of Idaho. And Sam just clearly feels very uncomfortable, which we've seen her schmoozing with people before, so I don't really know why she feels so much more uncomfortable here than in the past at such events. But maybe it's just because she's got some imposter syndrome since this isn't her real universe and she's only done some of the work that their Sam has done. So
True.
I feel like maybe she's thinking it's partially stolen valor, even though this was her plan and technology.
Yeah, I think she just wants to go home.
Yeah, mostly. Landry comes up to ask if she's enjoying the party. Sam says that's not quite the right word. She's not sure. But Landry says she just needs to have more champagne and to relax a little bit. But Sam doesn't really like all of the attention, and she says that she's not used to it because, of course, nobody knows who Sam is or what she does back in her own universe. When Landry asks, "Oh, do they do things differently back where you're from?" she does mention, "Well, for one thing, I'm not a major there." And Landry says, "Yep, don't worry, you're going to get your promotion." And Sam's like, that's kind of not the point. Like, she already got that promotion. She shouldn't have to earn it a second time, first of all. But that was, she didn't really like that response from him for obvious reasons. Landry, though, tries to just tell her people have been through a lot here lately and they need something to believe in. They just need somebody like you. This is great timing. You're the hero everybody needs. But then a protester busts in and just keeps repeating "no security without freedom" over and over again. And some guards come over and beat the person with a pain stick. So that's neat.
Yeah.
The person continues that they're not going to be silenced by acts of tyranny, but ultimately, after they keep torturing this person, they have to drag the person out.
The price of my love's not a price that you're willing to pay.
Sam is horrified by everything that she watches with this protester being tortured.
Yeah. And then she and Landry are beamed the hell out of there. Protect the president, not to protect Sam.
Indeed.
Although, why did they take Sam with them?
I guess because they do want to protect her since she's a symbol now?
Yeah, I guess so.
I mean, if you read anything about the whole Mockingbird series, they tried to do everything they could to protect Katniss because she was a symbol.
That's true.
Ultimately.
There was a room full of important people there.
True.
And I assumed that they were beamed out by Secret Service, and wouldn't they just care about the president in that instance? I don't know. Anyway.
I mean, she was right there. It didn't take
True.
any extra effort to beam her up with him.
I suppose. But anyway, it gives us a chance to see that the Prometheus is not destroyed in this version of history, and that the Prometheus is in fact Air Force One.
Yay.
Yay. Landry offers Sam a drink, and she's like, what just happened? And Landry says, my security detail is overprotective. We probably could have just gone out the back way, but here we are, so let's relax and have some fun. Sam's like, no, but I meant the guy your people were beating with a pain stick. And he says not everyone has been happy about the compromises we've had to make. And Sam's like martial law. Landry's like, I didn't really want to be the one who destroyed civil liberties in America, but, I've had more unique challenges than any other president before, so what are you going to do?
Great.
Yeah, great. Good times. Love that.
Yeah.
Sigh.
Sometime later, Sam is back in the lab in the SGC. Hammond comes in to say the president's people are looking for her. But she was just on her way out, so she doesn't have time to go and see them. But there have been all kinds of requests from the media that she do some interviews too, so everybody is looking for Sam at the moment. She is quite the celebrity, Hammond says. She obviously does not want that. She shows Hammond some television coverage of an Irish village that was just bombed by some American F-302s. She wants to know what the hell that's all about. And that was apparently at the request of the Irish Prime Minister, because that village was a training camp for terrorists, apparently, that were trying to overthrow a bunch of European governments. So that's also terrible. And Sam has been reading mission reports, apparently. They've abandoned the Alpha site, they've cut ties with the Jaffa, and they've pulled back from almost everything that they'd been involved in outside of Earth.
The more you tighten your grip, Tarkin, the more star systems will slip through your fingers.
Hammond tells her, though, that they didn't have a choice because they needed to put all of their resources into defending Earth. And Sam says that that was understandable, but now the Ori have failed twice, so maybe we get back out there now? How about that? That would be great. But Hammond says that decision hasn't been made yet, so he's not going to make any commitments to that. He understands that she's coming from a different perspective because things work very differently on her planet, and he understands why she doesn't like everything that she's seeing here, but she also wasn't here for American citizens shooting each other over food and water and gasoline, so maybe have a little patience, Sam? He tries to argue.
A certain point of view?
But apparently all of that kind of chaos was 3 years ago, and yet martial law is still happening, so that's bad and shitty.
Yes.
Hammond says it's only because the threat is still out there, and Sam says that's exactly the problem. The threat is always going to be out there. So that basically implies that this martial law is permanent.
Yeah.
It's too real, Roy. It's too real.
And so Sam leaves after that.
Yeah.
Angrily.
Yeah.
And with good reason.
Yes. And she goes to see this universe's Rodney. He is not working for any sort of international coalition. He's not on Atlantis. He's a businessman.
Yeah, that's a weird change.
Yeah.
For Rodney. No science for this one.
Nope. She thanks Rodney for seeing her, and he's like, well, we're still friends, right? And then he says something mildly weird and creepy, because he can't not be a little awkward and creepy.
Right.
Yeah. But he's trying not to be creepy when he says it. He's like, saw you on TV, recorded it. Not that I watched it more than once. What? Why?
Maybe he missed her. They were married.
Maybe, yeah. He says, how can I help you, though? And she's like, I'm not who you think I am. And he's like, oh, you're a lesbian, huh? And she's like, no.
Lovely.
What is your deal, dude? She's like, no, I'm actually from an alternate universe. Then she explains that she was sucked in because she and other Sam were working on experiments at the same time. And Rodney's like, this is a joke. Who put you up to this? But she says, no, it's not a joke. And also in my world, you were a badass action hero. He says, it sounds like I'm a chump. But he does sober up once she does tell him that his Sam is dead. So, guess he's ready to listen to what she's there for.
Apparently. But we don't know what goes on with that conversation just yet, because next we're back at the SGC. Landry and Hammond are talking to Dr. Lee and some other scientists about their Arthur's mantle device thingy. That was exactly where Sam told them that it would be in Glastonbury, but apparently they hadn't really done anything with it and had just put it in storage. But now that they knew what it was and what to look for, they were able to find it. Landry wants to know if Dr. Lee can make it work, maybe? But he says it's incredibly complicated, so it might take a little while, and it's got a power crystal that sits back there, and it's got some buttons. I do like that he explained to them how buttons work. You press the keys like you normally do in the normal way, up and down.
He's always
level
a treat.
of over-explaining was pretty funny.
Yeah.
They're working on translating the ancient text that's written on it. Landry interrupts all of his over-explaining and just wants to know if they've learned anything about how to make it work. But no, Lee says that he has not actually figured that out yet. And the only person that actually does know how it works is Sam, of course. So they dismiss Lee and he leaves. Hammond and Landry continue their conversation, though. When Hammond asks what they're going to do, Landry says that they're not going to do anything. And they, of course, are not going to let Sam go either, even though they promised she could go home after she helped them. Nope. Landry says they can't afford to let her go anywhere right now. She's got to stay here and continue to help them. Hammond agrees, but does not look at all pleased about it.
He's declared martial law on Sam.
Indeed.
Jerkface.
Seriously.
Then we're back in Rodney's office, where he's reiterating, oh, okay, so my ex-wife is dead. You look exactly like her. He does like her hair how it is this way, though. And you're from another universe and you need me to help you get back. And she's like, yes. She explains that in her universe, their Rodney built a bridge between parallel universes with help from his sister. And he's like, oh, we get along? And she's like, no. Which he's sad about in this universe, too.
Yes.
She's been trying to recreate that work, but she's having trouble, so maybe this McKay could help her. But he says he hasn't done a lot of theoretical physics lately. He's more into buying and selling companies. And then Sam says, the Rodney McKay she knows wouldn't back down from a challenge, one of the most forthright, courageous, and selfless men I have ever met. He's like, oh, really? And she's like, oh, you're making that up. And she says most of it. But
he is, though.
He is, yeah.
At least to some extent.
He's most of those things much of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
He is often selfish, but he has done many selfless things, and he has done many very brave things as well.
He sure doesn't back down from challenges.
No.
So, yeah. They're selling Rodney a little short in this SG1 episode, but
they are.
That is okay. He is written differently for SG1 than Atlantis.
This is true.
So
it is a bit weird.
Yeah. But he does offer to help Sam anyway, even though she said she's lying about most of the things she just said about the other Rodney. So a little selfless in this universe too, maybe? Maybe.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we're back at the SGC. Sam walks into the lab where she's been working to tell Dr. Lee that she's got some good news. She's got someone to help with her calculations, but the room is empty. Dr. Lee isn't there. Her equipment isn't there. So she's talking to an empty room. She storms off to find Landry. Going right to the president seemed like a weird take instead of going to Hammond first, but that's what she does.
Maybe she doesn't know where this Hammond's office is and she only knows how to get to Landry's office.
Maybe. That is entirely possible, yes. Her stuff is all at Area 51, he tells her, which is where she last left it, but it was supposed to be returned back here to the lab she'd been working in as soon as the Ori fleet was gone, so that should have happened by now. And she further explains that she needs it for the defense of her own world, so she's going to need to take it back with her when she returns to her universe. But Landry says, nah, we're going to not do that just yet. We're going to wait for the plebiscite to happen. Sam's like, what the hell is this plebiscite that you're talking about? And so the chief of staff guy that we saw a little bit earlier in the episode said that the last round of elections, midterm elections specifically, was canceled because of all of the unrest. And it was only supposed to be temporary, but it wasn't temporary. And now, for reasons, they just need to do a simple yes or no vote to keep the president in office, Landry specifically. So, neat.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Love that for them.
Yep.
Curse your sudden but inevitable betrayal.
And Landry is delighted that Sam is part of his team because that gives him all kinds of political capital in this. Sam, though, is horrified once again and says that she's not going to help him to subvert democracy. But Landry, of course, has his reasons for, well, the world is dangling like a thread and I need to save it and we need to make the best of a bad situation and blah, blah, blah. And then he walks off, heading to his office while Sam is just basically left to stand there and be sad and horrified.
Yeah.
Hammond is there in the background, but is apparently trying to avoid looking at her while this is happening because he looks away when she looks at him.
Yeah. It's also great. But then he does go talk to Landry. It tells him maybe he could cut Sam some slack. She's away from home, away from everyone she knows and loves. Come on, man. And Landry's like, yes, but she's also the symbol of hope for the entire planet, which Hammond points out they did to her.
Yes.
Landry says, because we needed it. He also claims he can't stand politicians, even though he's one of them, which is what they all say.
Indeed.
Yeah. Hammond tells him he was the right man for the job, and maybe still is, which I would argue no. Not if he's gonna keep treating people like trash. And he says, I know for you this wasn't easy, the road we've gone down, but it's gonna be really hard to get back on the right road, and you're the guy for that too. Come on. So Hammond's trying to work on letting Sam go in his Hammond way.
Yes.
Yeah.
Out in some hallway somewhere, Sam is walking down the hall. Chief of Staff guy comes and asks where she's going. Is she going to see her friend Rodney? Sam is surprised that they knew where she had gone, but of course they're keeping an eye on her when she leaves the base. Also, because they know that he's got tons of power and wealth, that of course, if she was going to go to somebody for help, she would go to her wealthy ex-husband, tech industrialist, famous guy for some support. And they're apparently going to be blackmailing him with some potential antitrust investigations if he does, in fact, help her. So that's also shitty. And he just tells her, just play your part. Everything will be fine.
Gross, dude.
Yes. Sam wanders outside to some kind of area that's got all kinds of graffiti. I noticed that there was a Mercedes-Benz symbol on the wall. I was wondering if they were aiming for a peace sign on the wall, but that's not what they actually painted in this graffiti.
Mercedes-Benz is peace, Mary.
Yeah, of course. Mercedes-Benz is for all. Or Mercedes for all will be the way to peace. Yes, I guess.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Sam rings on a doorbell and is led into the building, and apparently this is where their version of Mitchell lives. He's not in very good shape. He's actually in a wheelchair. His hair is all grown out. He is not looking very happy at all. He's got some coffee for her, though, and asks how she takes it. Of course, just black, and he says he likes his sweetened, and so he adds a lot of alcohol to it.
Syrup and coffee? Why didn't I think of that? Can I try some?
Be my guest.
So, not seeming to be the healthiest person at the moment. They talk a little bit about how he got shot down over Antarctica, just like the one in Sam's universe did. And he did actually recover. This is not why he's in a wheelchair. He was doing all right, and he was there, basically the version of what Sam is now. He was the hero that was getting trotted out in front of everybody to give them hope. And he even shows a picture of himself with his full dress uniform on, and he's wearing an award of some sort around his neck, and he's standing at a podium next to Landry. He does have some crutches, but he is, in fact, standing. Sam is surprised to see that he was walking, but as Mitchell sits there smoking his cigarettes, he says that there's a little bit of a setback in his therapy. He was going around to all different kinds of events, as he says, being trotted out to state dinners and political rallies. He even opened a few malls, but eventually he called Landry and his people out on their BS, and so they stopped his medical treatments, and that's when he lost his ability to walk because he could no longer afford the expensive doctors that he needed for the recovery that he was working on at the time. So that's all shitty. But he says life is sweet, so he's still fine. That's not very believable, the way he says it. No. Sam apologizes for coming and says that she shouldn't have. But Mitchell says, nah, take a good look. You wanted to see for yourself, right? What happens when you stick to your principles? Here I am.
Oof. Oof, oof, oof.
Yes.
So Sam leaves and calls that guy who threatened her and told her to play her part and says she's gonna play ball. So she goes on TV. Next we see her, she's in a news studio with the reporter Donovan.
Yeah. I like that they keep bringing her back.
Me too.
Just as that little bit of continuity.
Yeah. She introduces Sam to the world as a 10-year veteran of the Stargate program and the woman who almost single-handedly saved the world from the most recent alien attack. She asks Sam to tell a little bit about herself, so she repeats that she's been in the Stargate program for the last 10 years and that now she's a special advisor to the president. She's there to consult about planetary defense. We flip perspectives when we see that asshole guy is watching Sam on TV, where she tells Donovan that she's going to push for improved foreign relations and the restoration of civil liberties.
That's not what they want to do.
No, this guy is honking mad about it. Donovan asks if the president welcomes this kind of input from military advisors, and we flip back to the TV studio, and Sam says he wouldn't be much of a president if he wasn't at least willing to listen to other opinions. Then we flip back. Honkin' mad man tells someone on the phone to shut it down. Sam is continuing to talk now that she's got her soapbox out. However, she's cut off by Donovan, who tells her, I admire what you're trying to do, but we've been taken off the air. That sucks. And Sam says, thanks.
It does. Sometime later, Sam is hanging out with Rodney again. I don't know exactly where this was. It was supposed to be his office building, right?
I think so.
Okay.
It didn't look like the SGC or anything.
No. He's asking what made her think she could get away with saying things like that, but Sam said somebody's got to say something about it. He wants to know what she's doing on the laptop, and she says she's trying to find some coverage about the event. She wants to know how it played out in the press, how people are responding. Rodney says, don't even bother looking. They're not going to cover it. There's going to be nothing about it. Sam is confused how there could be literally nothing because the show was live, and so they at least heard part of her message. Millions of people were watching at the time, but Rodney says it doesn't matter. They're still going to cover over it anyway. Sam does eventually find one very brief mention that says that they had to cut her appearance short because she suddenly took ill. So she is furious about that because that's clearly not what happened, but that's the story they're going to go with, and that's the story that everyone's going to be forced to believe. And also, apparently in this news story, a spokesperson for Sam said that they're going to cancel all of her upcoming appearances so that she can recover from her exhaustion. And Rodney's basically like, see, I told you, no one's going to cover that story. So basically it's like it never happened. Sam is still not buying that nothing's going to come of this. She says people hurt her.
Then when she's, I guess, leaving Rodney's outside, that guy shows up with other men to kidnap her. Before they're able to grab her, she does beat the crap out of two of them pretty nicely, but unfortunately they have a Zat gun, so they do shoot her and shove her in a car.
After you've been stunned, and an hour later you go swimming, and they shoot you one more time, are you stunned again? Or are you f***ing dead?
And they take her to Landry, who is on the Prometheus. When she walks in, she's not tied up, but she's gagged. Which was just kind of weird because her hands are dangling there.
It is a weird choice.
But apparently this guy really hates Sam and thought it seemed appropriate to gag her. Landry orders it off and tells them to give them the room. So everybody leaves. Sam is ungagged. And Landry's like, what am I going to do with you? Sam's like, let me go? But he argues he still needs her. And she's like, why? Knowledge of phase technology? Prop for public relations? Landry's like, ¿por qué no los dos? But she says she's not going to stay silent. And he's like, but you do that on your world? Nobody knows about the Stargate program on your world. You're keeping it a huge secret. How is that supporting freedom and democracy when people don't know that this program is going on? Sam says, well, I guess at least on my world, we aren't going to abandon the rest of the galaxy to the Ori. But Landry's like, well, not now, but if you have this technology to hide your planet, why wouldn't you just hide your planet and go, fuck all y'all, you're on your own, like we did. And Sam says, no, I know at least one man who won't do that. And he's the leader of Stargate Command, and his name is General Landry. Okay? There's another Landry out there, and he's way better than you.
Boom, roasted.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Landry is way better than this Landry.
Yeah.
Sometime later, Sam is back at the SGC. She enters the lab that she's been working in, and Rodney is already there working. All of her stuff seems to be there too, I think.
Yeah.
Sam wants to know what Rodney's doing here. And apparently this is his new job, her old job. He is taking over her position as the special advisor to the president, and he's not very thrilled about the pay cut, but they were very persuasive. So apparently they did threaten all of those lawsuits and whatnot to get him here, presumably. He is not thrilled. Sam feels bad, but here we are. And so the first order of business is to create that inter-universal bridge that he was apparently able to do in another reality. So, yep, they are going to send Sam home with all of her stuff. So Sam surmises that they've realized that she's more trouble than she's worth, and Rodney came to that same conclusion the day they got divorced, he says. Neat.
Yeah.
And also, in the meantime, though, they're going to try to get their Merlin device to work the way that Sam's does. So she's going to, I guess, work on that while Rodney works on getting her home, at least.
That's smart, because they have nothing. They sent Sam away and don't have that device anymore.
Yeah, so she is willing to participate in that trade-off. She says she's going to leave them all her notes about it. That should hopefully help. And if that works, then they're going to be safe, and it'll be fine. Sam wants to know about the rest of the galaxy, though. Everyone is under attack, not just Earth. Rodney is annoyed that she won't just give up on and be happy that Earth is safe. She's optimistic that because her Landry is a good person, deep down, maybe this president is also a good person, and so maybe things will be okay in the long run, and maybe they will realize that they need to help other people. Hopefully that's what she's going to go with, I guess. He just needs a persistent voice in his ear, and hopefully that voice can be Rodney. I'm not very convinced that's going to happen, but that's what she thinks will happen. Because the Rodney she knows is a master of subtle persuasion, which this Rodney realizes once again is a lie.
18 emails a day. Subtle persuasion.
Very subtle.
And then we're back in the Prime Stargate universe. Dr. Lee is in the lab Sam disappeared from, walking around with headphones and whatever that megaphone-looking scanner thing is that he's carrying around.
He's just trying to pick up on any sounds that he is not able to hear. It's a noise amplifier kind of thing.
Ah, gotcha. And he is looking away from the center of the room when Sam reappears in the lab. So she says, Dr. Lee, and he turns around and is like, oh! And he drops his equipment, which hurts his ears.
Yes. Seeing as it's amplifying quiet noises, that would likely be very painful.
Oops. But it doesn't matter. He's excited to see her. She's back. And Sam's like, hi. And then we have a reunion with Sam and the rest of, Sam and the rest of SG 80% that they're at, 4/5.
Yes.
She asks if there's been news on Daniel. Again, back to the same question she was asking at the beginning, but they still haven't heard anything, even though it's been like 2 weeks.
Yep.
But they're happy she's back, and she is also happy to be back because everything there was really creepy. Vala asks how she was in that reality, and Sam's like, you were in jail, and Vala says, not again. And Mitchell asks about the rest of them, and Sam's like, maybe we don't talk about that. I don't really feel like talking about that. Can we talk about something else? How are you guys doing? What have you been up to? And this is where they have to admit that they thought maybe she was just invisible and out of phase like before. So they took shifts sitting in the empty lab talking to her.
That's very
so
sweet.
She wouldn't be lonely. It was very sweet. They said they stopped eventually, but it did go on for quite a while, Mitchell says.
Yes.
Sam asks what they talked about. And they do not want to talk about that either. So Mitchell's like, I got files to read, and leaves. Teal'c says he has a sparring session with Sergeant Seiler. Yeah.
I thought that was funny.
Leaving her alone with Vala. Vala, though, also needs to go. She says she's bidding for a timeshare on eBay.
That seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, it really does. She doesn't know. She doesn't know the perils of timeshares.
No, apparently.
As she's leaving, though, she does run back and give Sam a hug and says she really did miss her. Sorry, I'm getting cheered up for some reason. I was like, oh. Apparently I'm tired. It's fine. But she welcomes her back and says, we really did miss you. And Sam says, it's good to be home.
End of episode.
End of episode.
Did you like the episode?
I did like the episode. It wasn't as fun, I felt like, as some of the parallel universe ones have been, but I think that's because of the awful state of the US in this parallel world that feels like something
in some way
that
matches.
Yeah.
In some ways kind of matches things happening now.
Yeah. And yeah, God, why do I like it then? I'm just having a moment. I love seeing Hammond.
Indeed. Agreed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I don't know. I guess I liked Alternative Rodney was okay. I don't know. So I liked it, but I can't be specific on why I liked it, and I can't come up with specifics besides I like alternate stories. How about you?
It was all right. I'm not a huge fan of alternate stories, but the pacing on this one I did think was pretty good for the most part. I do like a crossover episode, so any episode where they have characters from Atlantis on SG1 or vice versa are going to be something I enjoy. So I liked seeing Rodney here, even though he was a different Rodney. And of course, as you said, loved that Hammond was back. But yeah, a lot of it was kind of disturbing because of some of the current politics and whatnot that are happening right now. So I liked some parts of it. Some parts of it were not that great, but I didn't find it boring or tedious like I've found some recent episodes. So I would say it was okay. Yeah. Didn't dislike it. Didn't really love it either.
Yeah. I don't know. Gold star for a season 10 episode, I feel like, though.
Yeah. It's better than a lot of episodes that we've had and some of the episodes that I know we've still got coming up in this season.
What are we going to talk about next, though? Not this, Atlantis.
Next is, in fact, Atlantis Season 3, Episode 13, Irresponsible. According to TVDB, the team finds Lucius Laven manipulating the people of another hapless planet using ancient technology to pose as an invincible hero. And over at IMDb, the team investigates rumors of an invincible hero off-world only to find Lucius Laven again manipulating a hapless village. Why do I have no recollection of who this guy is?
That's Richard Kind.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, the rapist.
Ugh. Yeah, that guy.
Not Richard Kind, the rapist. Lucius the
Blocked
rapist.
it out because I hated that episode so much. That's what happened.
Not looking forward to this then.
Nope, definitely not.
Ugh.
Blurg.
Yeah, agreed.
All right, something to not look forward to next week.
Woohoo!
Anything else?
I don't think so.
Thank you so much for listening to Stargatesing with Kathy and Mary. Our fully listener-supported program couldn't be done without you. Show your support by telling everyone you know how awesome this show is. Find us at stargatesing.space. Reach us by email, stargatesing@gmail.com. Find us on social media at Blue Sky. Get some merch, tinyurl/stargatesing. And finally, show your financial support at patreon.com/stargatesing. Thank you for traveling through the gate with us. Catch you next time on Stargatesing with Kathy and Mary.
I'm Kathy.
I'm Mary.
And you've been listening to Stargatesing. The end.
The end.
It demolecularizes. Wow. That's a fun word.
Good job.